Welcome to another episode of Pacific Matters. My name is Thomas Manglona, reporting outside of the CNMI Governor's Office here on Saipan. We have a special episode of CNMI Decision 2022. This past week, we've been sitting down with the candidates for governor and lieutenant governor. First, we bring you our interview with the Republican team for governor and lieutenant governor, current governor Ralph Torres and his running mate, Senator Vinnie Sablan. So, Governor, Senator, thank you so much for your time. Election day is almost here. How are you both feeling about that ahead of November 8th?
I feel good. I know that we've worked so hard, not just in the last couple of years, but throughout my, being a governor. So I feel good, and there's still more work to be done.
And I wanted to start with your decision to run. First, yourself, of course, as an incumbent, it's expected that you're going to run again. So why did you decide to run, and as a second part of that question, select Senator Sablan as your running mate?
Well, Thomas, thank you for that. As you know, I've done a lot of things here since back in 2015 when I was elected as lieutenant governor, just experiencing Typhoon Sodilor, Mangkhut, U2, and then of course the pandemic. And I know that throughout my experience, with everyone's encouragement, continue to give me that push, to be here and to support them, and to go to how I chose Senator Vinnie. I want to make it clear also that back around September of, I believe, 2020. Before Lieutenant Governor Arnold Palacios went to Arizona for his surgery, he was the one that brought me up to his office and told me that he will not be seeking re-election and that he will be focusing on his health. And because of that, I gave him all the respect and focus on health. And that's where we opened up and looked at who is the right person for the position, someone that truly cares for the community, someone with outstanding background, someone with family background, definitely, and someone that believes in God. And that's something that Senator Vinnie and I have always had a good working relationship, definitely always respected each other. And I reached out, and that's how this conversation started.
So you didn't know that Lieutenant Governor Palacios was going to run for governor at the time?
Actually, no, Thomas, not even. Him and I will have conversations every month. I mean, that's the truth. All the way up to the day we announced. In fact, on numerous occasions, he's assured me that he won't be running against me, and why would he run? We're in the same party and same administration. To go even further, on the day that we announced, his family was with us. His oldest brother, Mart, was our vice chairman for the committee to elect. So all the way until the day that we announced, actually we didn't even know until he announced that following week that he's thinking about it. So that whole time, he knew that we were looking at Senator Vinnie during the vetting process, and just really shocked that after announcement that he decided to come out publicly and say that he might be thinking of running.
And Senator, frankly, you're in an interesting situation.
Yes.
What made you decide to join the ticket, given all of the backstory that the governor just outlined?
Well, it's it's been a journey for me. My public service started 8 years ago in the House and moving up to the Senate. When the governor approached me to ask me to consider being his running mate, I took some time. I went through the process myself and spoke to family, and I really saw an opportunity, Thomas, to continue the good work the governor has been doing. Right, I looked around and saw that there has been progress in his administration. And I saw that to be an opportunity for me to step up to a greater scale or a greater stage to make great decisions for our people of the CNMI. So, it's never an easy decision to run for public office, but You know, looking at everything and really putting everything in place and putting all the parts in place. You know, I felt that joining the governor, we could continue the good work of the people. You know, there's a lot of programs and assistance and resources that have been coming out of the governor's administration, and I saw that I could play a role in on that stage to continue that good work. So we're looking forward to getting the blessing from our people and you know, moving our Commonwealth forward.
I want to shift to talking about your platform, but first, Governor, I wanted to ask you, if you were to grade yourself in your time as governor, what grade would you give yourself? You know,
Thomas, it's really difficult because I know the sacrifices I put up, while people don't understand the sacrifices I put up. For example, Typhoon U2. I was up right in the morning, all night with Homeland Security. I was up all night working and dealing with DOD. Harry Elliott is our DOC. And I've been out there with the community, Rhoda, Tinian, on every disaster. I've been out there in pandemic. There's not one person can actually be honest with himself and say, I was not here during the pandemic. Every flight that came in, I was there with all the first responders. I can tell you what's at ACS. I can tell you the operation. I can tell you who runs those operations, how many hours those first line responders, call center, dealing with warrants. I mean, I can go on because I know the effort that I put in to protect the community. And it's hard for me to rate that because everything that I've put in is for the betterment of the community. There's not one nationality, not one status or occupation that was just protected. Everybody in the community was protected across the board. So if you ask me what's my grade, I would tell you that I've given 100% of my effort to protect everyone here in the CNMI, those that call CNMI home, and also the opportunity.
The incumbent governor, if re-elected by the people, you will have the opportunity to expand on the work that you've done in your administration. What would you say are some of the top priorities when you look at the Torres Sablan ticket?
Oh, Thomas, thank you. Thank you, because the work that we do, it's like a seed, right? You can't expect a seed to just harvest the next day. You got to plant it right, you got to water it right. And so for me, one of the biggest things is continue to protect our retirees. And there's not one candidate out there can say that they are there since day one. Not only making sure that the retirees get their 25%, the 75%, but try to save some and give them their bonuses that they deserve. Second is we've been working with our hospital. We're on the verge of moving forward with our MRI. Our goal is to make sure that we too provide state-of-the-art healthcare here. And second, and the third is the economy. We brought in SkyMart pre-pandemic. Unfortunately, that with everything that's going on, we're able to bring back Japan market to United. We are working on other tourist destinations, and one is Australia, and also with Philippines. I'll tell you this, Thomas, I know the importance of the economy, how important it is to diversify our tourist destination. There is not one industry here in the CNMI that we have right now that will give opportunities for our community than our tourism.
Governor, you and many governors across the state have what some are calling this war chest of ARPA, federal funds.
Sure.
Where's your administration stance on how to spend that? And also, would you be able to address some criticism on whether or not it being used on salary is not necessarily a sustainable use of those funds? And then, Senator, as a follow-up to you, if it's okay, as someone sitting in the legislature, mulling over the budget right now, the House has has put forward its foot saying that it does have some sense of appropriation authority over ARPA. I know you've addressed this in length, but I wanted to just first talk with you, Governor, big picture, where ARPA stands and your use of it.
So, Thomas, I think it's important though that I address that ARPA, because the House continue to make this idea, this honestly ridiculous claim that they have authority over ARPA. I think they should get over it, because they don't. None of them have the authority to write a letter to dictate where those funds going to U.S. Treasury. Absolutely none. So it's over a year. We're working on it. We continue to move forward on it. Here they are. We're back again to square one. They don't have the authority. And so look at what they did. They cut the hospital. They cut, imagine this, making the hospitals one of the priorities, yet they cut their budget. Scholarship. How can you, majority of them in the leadership, claim that our students is a priority when they cut the scholarship? I mean, we can go down Carolinians Affairs Office, they cut them. Indigenous Affairs Office, they cut them.
Are you concerned at all that ARPA ARPA will run out at some point, but with regards to using it for payroll, are you concerned that people are going to be put in a precarious position? Absolutely
not, Thomas. And this is where it's important to understand. ARPA is meant to spend money, to stimulate the economy. But more importantly though, not just to spend the money, how to sustain that economy. We are putting our effort for bringing in airlines, bringing in our tourists here in the CNMI. Don't forget that back in a couple of years ago, we were the only one, first and only one at the time, to have travel bubble, a signed document with Korean government. And that is such huge opportunity and huge success for us to have Korea acknowledge how safe we are and to allow their people to come and have a tourist destination here. So by us spending those ARPA funds, it will bring in our tourist destination. What we need is the House. We need them to come up and have a bill that would incentivize companies, not tax. You don't tax people, your own people, and think that you're rebuilding the economy. You don't. You're hurting everyone. Hurts you, hurts me, it hurts everybody. But what we need is new money to come into the CNMI, and that's why I'm pushing so hard, using ARPA funds to bring in new airlines.
And Senator, you're setting, if your administration is elected, you're setting yourself up with this budget that you're looking at now.
That's right.
So what's your perspective on it?
Yeah, we're in, right now, we do have the House version of the budget. We are working on the Senate version, and we are close to complete. Thomas, what we really have to understand is when the initiation of ARPA, when we received ARPA funds in the beginning, the governor and the administration and the government as a whole, needed to provide a spending plan on ARPA. Now and even in the last fiscal year budget, there was a version of the House that wanted to appropriate that money, right? But it could not be done, and the spending plan got approved, and we were on our way in spending ARPA monies to ensure that we can sustain our economy when that time comes, when ARPA is over. And if you look now with a lot of the activities through the governor's leadership, such as airlines, these travel bubbles, bringing in a population of tourists again, whether it's coming slowly but surely, but we're seeing changes and we're seeing direction towards normalcy. To change the plan right now and to appropriate it over and start all over, it's really gonna create a bump in where the movement and the direction of ARPA was supposed to go to. If we were spending this money and there was no back plan on sustaining our economy and our people when ARPA monies run out, then okay, we could say there's a problem. But there's activities and there's actions being taken right now by the governor, by the administration, again, bringing in tourists, bringing in airlines, looking at other tourist markets to come in and populate our island so that we can bring in the economy and regain back a sense of normalcy in our economy. That's what we have to think about. Let's not start all over. Let's just continue the plan. It's been working. We've been pumping in money into the economy. It's been flowing, and we're feeling the vibration now of bringing back, you know, jobs and these industries. And that's what's going to sustain us in the end when we run out of these, when the ARPA monies run out. So that's what we're looking at the Senate. That's the angle we're looking at, and I don't see and I don't believe that it's a smart move to start appropriating the money again when the spending plan was approved, and it's on its way right now. So that's how I see this budget coming up, and how we can move forward when we, you know, when those monies are
with more of a focus on your campaign and Governor, your time in office. I think it's safe to say each team has their fair share of criticism of the public. Governor, as you know, you are the second governor in CNMI history to be impeached. Your office, your home was raided by the FBI 3 years ago. You've told me previously you don't want to talk about the current subpoenas that are being out. What do you just have to say to people who are watching kind of this political storm brew, and some say they're waiting for the other shoe to drop when it comes to those investigations? The Senate did not pass the articles of impeachment, so you were essentially acquitted then, but can you just speak to the big picture of the political hits that you've taken as governor, pretty much from all sides?
I mean, it's a position that's a free target for everybody. So I know it's a political innuendos, and even those other Republicans that voted on it, even in the very beginning, they said they were never going to vote on it. The minute they have another candidate and supporting somebody else, it became a political approach. So for me, I knew that along the way, but that never stopped me from prioritizing what I needed to do. During the whole pandemic, none of them were out there helping the community. None of them were out there with the first responders. Zero. In fact, if anything, they were hiding because they were scared to get COVID infected or transmitted, or however you want to call it. So if you want to talk about leadership, I can take all the criticism, but when I wake up, I'm going to be up there first with the first responders to protect the community. So those criticism for me doesn't bother me at all.
You're not concerned about any potential federal investigations?
Well, I mean, if it comes, it comes. But I'm not gonna not sleep over it and worry about it when I have work to be done. So.
What do you mean when you say that? When if it comes, it comes?
No, I mean, you're asking me, am I worried? I mean, am I worried now? They raided my house. They took everything that they think they needed. It's going on 3 years. So I'm a governor now, and I want to make sure that I do what I need to do to protect the community and give opportunities for everybody.
And Senator Sablan, you're now in the den with Governor Torres. What's your comment to the public on the perception that there has been investigation after investigation into his administration?
Well, I think it's all about focus, right, Thomas? You know, we were elected, and every elected a person up at the legislature and in the executive branch was elected to do a job. They were elected to perform and improve the quality of lives of our people. They were elected to sustain our economic activity and ensure that we have a future for our children. And that's the focus that we should be placing ourselves on, right? The governor has been investigated by every investigative body that you could find here, right? From the FBI, for AG, and all that. We respect that process. I know he respects that process, but it's been 3 years, almost, over 3 years, and I'm not sure what's come out of it. But what I am sure of is that action has been taking place and it continues. And for us as legislators, as elected officials, to really put in energy to things like that, like getting someone investigated or negativity. I think that's not that shouldn't be the focus. The focus should be doing the work for the people. The focus should be trying to find what can improve the quality of lives of our people. Respect the process, but we move forward and continue to work.
And part of you, I think, respecting the process was you sat out of the impeachment trial.
Yes.
I haven't had a chance to ask you about it now. Do you think the Senate went about it the right way?
Sure. I mean, there were rules. The House made their rules, right? And everyone respected that. The Senate came up and took time and drafted their rules as well. And that those were the rules that was used when they presided over the impeachment process. So I believe it was a fair trial, and like I said, how many years has it been? We're always going to respect the judicial process and investigative process, but that doesn't give us any reason to stop performing our duties as leaders.
Apatang ticket and the Sablan Stafford ticket. What differentiates you from them? It seems as though there's the Republican ticket, and then you have the independent Republicans now, and then the Democrats. So what's your view on why people should choose Republicans over the other parties?
I think Thomas, don't I would appreciate if you don't identify them as independent Republicans, because they're no longer Republicans. So I appreciate if they're not considered Republicans. What differs me and all of them? There's so many, Thomas. One is the priority that I've put up for our community. If you want to talk about true leadership, why don't we ask ourselves this? Where were they when the people of the CNMI needed them most? Where was Tina Sablan during the whole pandemic? Where was she? Where was Lieutenant Governor? Did you see him being out there in any of the cargo, the arrival of the cargos? Did you see any of them being part of the first responders? So you ask me that. What differentiates me? I don't shy away from hard work. I don't let my people go out there and work and expect them to leave their families and to sacrifice and not be part of them. My kids will cry, Thomas, during pandemic and tell me, Dad, afa na mahano uzum anong sangangani tao to pufanyaga. Afa na ti sumasago. And I will tell them, ti pero sa sidad gobyerno. Obligasyon no may bihano sa bifanami zani tao. And so that leadership, Thomas, is something that I don't brag on, but I am proud because I was out there knowing exactly what those first responders needed, not just what they needed, but what their family needed back home. And you know the record. That record speaks for itself. So for that, the other experience, not one governor or lieutenant governor has had the experiences of typhoons since 2015, 2018 with Mangkut, U2, and of course pandemic. You want to talk about someone that's weathered the storm? This is it. You're looking at him. I have great relationship with all federal partners. You see that with DOD, we're working with DOD on TNIA. We have moved so much more with TNIA and DOD, TNIA leadership in the last 5-7 years than we had in the last 40 years. Look at the roads. We're clearing out roads. We're fixing our Route 36. We fixed Airport Road. We're right on doing now the middle road. I mean, I can go on, Thomas, because the love of my people is what differentiates me. And we don't go out there, we don't talk about other people, and we don't criticize other people. We talk about what we do, what we're gonna do to continue this operation, this opportunity to the community. booster program, the retirees. Again, that's a big deal. These are retirees that you can't ask them to go and get a second job or a third job. And this is what they rely on. So not just giving them their 75% like the settlement fund, but the 25%. And then the bonuses, stimulus, assistance with CUC. I mean, those are the things, building schools now. That will be the next priority, is to build Hubwood, NMC, NMTI. I mean, those are the things that that will bring opportunities for the community. But all of this, Thomas, again, is going to go back. None of them, and I say this because you asked me what differentiates me and them, none of them, since their career, is able to bring in an airline. You need somebody that has a good working relationship with the tourist industry, tourist destinations, and business partners, that understands that we need to diversify our economy to our tourist destination and tourist partners. That is something that I have, and I guarantee you that more than the other candidates on my level